Hello, good day, viewers. You're welcome to this special episode, which coincides with the transition of our new name from NIMASA podcast to the Maritime Odyssey by NIMASA. In this program, we discuss happenings around the maritime domain, things that happen in our oceans, far and beyond, including here in Nigeria and across the global space. We'll get to also talk about, NIMASA as an organization and the responsibilities we are saddled with. We hear stories from individuals. We get to listen to their life experiences and how far they've come. I remain your host, Chukwuma Moghalu. Today's episode is very dear and special to me, and we would be discussing a very good topic that affects us all, which is pollution in the marine ecosystem in Nigeria, in our own waters. And joining us today to discuss this topic is Mazi. Well, when you see his attire, you will know why I refer to him as Mazi. So it's Mazi Chinedu Ogbonna. Mazi is a staff of the Marine Environment Management of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. You're welcome, sir. It's a pleasure to have you in our podcast studio this morning.
Thank you very much, Chukwuma. I'm really happy to be here. And that introduction was top-notch.
Thank you.
I have not been called Mazi before. Thank you for that introduction.
Thank you very much, and you're welcome. So, with regards to our theme bordering on pollution in the marine environment, pollution, of course, is the introduction of contaminants into our natural environment. That, of course, cause adverse effects and changes that in one way or the other affects us all. And we're here to dissect it and make people understand what this is doing to us in the marine space and environment. Let's start by asking you, Mazi, in the most basic term, define the word or the term pollution prevention. How do we prevent pollution? Define what it means to people that might not understand what it means to prevent pollution.
Okay, thank you very much. Just like you rightfully talked about what pollution is, it's one of the clearest and most direct form of description of pollution is what you have just given to the public. And
the contaminants in our natural environment.
The contaminants in our natural environment. And just like you rightfully said, it has adverse effects on both small and young, old, new,
everybody.
It cuts across board, all spectrum, talking from humans to animals and to even matters that are not living organisms too. Pollution could actually affect those things as well. And just like you asked, so pollution prevention pretty much is usually a strategy that you employ, that people put towards ensuring that either harmful substances or toxins are sort of eliminated or reduced, from their sources prior to its generation. So it's just a strategy usually. That's what pollution prevention really seeks to achieve. It seeks to achieve, nipping pollution from the board, from its source, so that it doesn't, blossom into something that can no longer be controlled.
So that's pollution in the general term of it, because now we're about to streamline it into where it affects us most,
Right.
which is our marine ecosystem.
Right.
So give our viewers a brief overview of what our marine ecosystem is and why it is important to protect it.
Okay, so our marine ecosystem, first and foremost, we need to understand what the marine ecosystem is basically.
Yeah.
So the marine ecosystem is basically the aquatic environment, So you're looking at deep sea, ocean, big body of water, the ocean, the deep sea. That's really the marine ecosystem.
Which even covers most of our Earth space.
Yeah, it's 2/3 like we know. So it's the big deep sea ocean, but not just the deep sea ocean alone. With so much of dissolved salts. Sorry, I may be talking a bit
good.
scientific, but
Good.
I'll always try to break it down
Yeah.
for other listeners and all that. Non-scientific listeners actually.
Yeah,
So
to pick along.
yeah, so there's a whole lot of dissolved salts and all. That's why if you go to the beach, you can actually taste the salts in the water and all that. There's so much of dissolved salts in the aquatic environment, which is the marine ecosystem we're talking about, and the biotic and the abiotic characteristics it possesses. To break that down, what the abiotic and the biotic is just talking about the physical and the biological components. So the physical component, you're looking at the microorganisms therein, the different types of species of fishes to whatever you have.
The ones we can see.
The ones we can see to those, even to phytoplankton, those you can't even see with your naked eyes. Then the physical properties we're looking at is usually the temperature, the the salinity and all whatnot of the water. So those parts you can't necessarily see
them. You can feel them. You can taste them.
Yeah. So those properties, all these together, make up the marine ecosystem. Yeah.
Why is it important to protect this ecosystem?
Wow. Fantastic question.
Yeah.
That's very, very important because you see, it provides a wide range of a wide spectrum of services to us. So there's the food security aspect of it. They provide the food security. There's even the tourism aspect. There's the tourism aspect. They provide us with sources of energy, like we all know in Nigeria today. The gas, the petroleum. Their trade routes. Are you aware that 90% of the trade that comes, in and out of Nigeria comes
That's the goods that go around that we use on a daily basis.
On a daily basis, your daily commodities that come in and out of the country, they actually come from the sea. So it's a trade route. You want to be sure that it's always
functional.
Safe. And safe. And it provides raw materials for pharmaceuticals and even building materials. Like you go there to pick your sharp sands and all that, and it's very good for building materials. The sea helps in regulating our climate. So it has these climate change characteristics as well. And then again, it also helps to regulate the air we breathe.
Our well-being.
Our well-being. And when you look at the sum of all these, the totality.
We can't do without a protected marine ecosystem.
So, which is the blue economy, which is being introduced today by the current administration. This is the blue economy we're talking about. It's so diverse, it's so big that you can actually diversify Nigeria's economy.
So it's a very key, area, component of our living that we should always ensure that it's protected at every point in time. Because mentioning food security, we can't do without food. Mentioning the trade routes, everybody needs something that comes through the sea. Mentioning construction and all of that, these are things we can't do without, which means the protection of the marine ecosystem is inevitable. Something it's gone and we're gone, literally. What are the agency's responsibilities with regards to the protection of the marine space? And what is the role of your department, which is the Marine Environment Management, in all of this?
Okay, so the agency, for people who are not aware, maybe let me reiterate, but to us it just sounds too much like because we're used to hearing stuff like. So the agency basically, like we know, is being established primarily for the administration of the maritime safety seafarer standards and security, the maritime labor aspect, and the cabotage services commercial shipping and cabotage services that is being provided, and also the pollution prevention and control of the marine environment. These are core mandates of the agency today. So what are we talking about? Speaking about that aspect of the pollution prevention and control of pollution and prevention of pollution as a core mandate. So by implementing, you need to understand this part, implementing relevant regulations and treaties which Nigeria as a country has assented to. Being a member of the IMO today, which is the International Maritime Organization. So it's our obligation to see that those treaties, those agreements are being
lived up to the expectation.
are being implemented today in the country. And rightfully, there's no one else. NIMASA is being saddled with that responsibility of carrying out these standards. And even maybe, not just only, those standards, those treaties are usually like the basic. You can, based on peculiarity to your own country, you can improve on the existing standards from, provided by the IMO.
Okay, so the agency having a role of prevention of pollution as part of its responsibilities. All right. How do you, as an officer, of that role, how do you go about implementing your own part of it?
Okay, so I skipped something where you mentioned about, so where does the Marine Environment Management Department
come in?
Yeah,
where your department comes in, and where you as an individual plays the active role.
So the Marine Environment Management Department is literally the only department in the agency that actually deals with the responsibility of ensuring marine protection.
Yes.
From any sort of pollution. So now this is the primary goal. Ensure marine protection. Right? Now the officers in there, just like you just asked now, so what are the roles the officers play? So there's a whole lot of things to play. First and foremost,
because you're the enforcer of that mandate.
So first and foremost, one of the things we come up with is we try to form policies. Policies which go out there and ratified or approved by we bring up policies that actually go to the legislature. From the legislature, we get approvals from the executive arm, and it becomes a working policy that everybody must first. So you bring policies that are when we get the IMO convention, as broad as it is, you try to tailor make it by forming policies and guidelines to suit the peculiarity of your own individual country. But you don't go out of it. You just stick within it. So those policy formations is one of the things my department comes up with. We also carry out enforcement to ensure strict adherence. So it's like so it's the compliance monitoring, so to say, to ensure strict adherence to these set out rules and regulations that is being prescribed for us by the relevant key players. The sea moving vessels, even the cruise ships, the oil rigs that do the exploration and exploitation, so stuff like that. You were out there enforcing these laws, ensuring that there is strict adherence to them. Because any slight mistake, you pollute the environment. So, then we also, in the department, we also have people, we do certain certifications and grant certain approvals.
Okay.
So when these applications come, and there's so many applications, they're too numerous to mention. There's the ballast water management applications, there's the waste management plan applications, there's the garbage management plan application. So there's just too many. So we appraise these things, we evaluate the
ensure compliance.
The submissions. We also even go out there to inspect them before we either say, okay, this is fit for use, and we recommend for approval, and grant a certificate. We do, the department MEM does this on behalf of the agency in total. So there's a whole lot of things to do.
That's a lot of things to do
towards protection of the marine environment.
Speaking about the pollution, as we know, in a place like Lagos, where we're domiciled at the moment, one of the biggest contributors to pollution on land is emissions from vehicles. And some people go about burning things indiscriminately. Let's talk about the marine space. What is the significant source of pollution within that environment? And give us a little overview, just like I mentioned about the land space where you have the vehicles polluting the air.
Yeah.
Give us a little overview of what is the current state of marine pollution in the ocean, in our ecosystem.
Yeah. So, the primary source.
Yes.
There are just three primary sources of
Okay.
pollution
Okay.
in the marine space.
Yeah.
So it's the land-based sources,
Okay.
which accounts for actually 80%.
Which means there's pollution on the land that still transcends into the marine
Oh
environment.
yes. So you have like your domestic waste.
Oh, okay.
You know, you have industrial wastewater that goes. All these are from land. You have so domestic waste cuts across it's from organic matter to even plastics, and that's the wildest one because
The plastics are.
plastics. So there's from that to the plastic. Then you even have something we refer to as agricultural runoff. So when people come with all those synthetic fertilizers and all that, they're built with chemicals and all those things. Yeah, sometimes when there's a flood or rainwater comes, that runoff
Washes
finds
it
its way into the ocean and just feeds the ocean with all sorts of chemicals. And you're looking to not want that to happen. And so you have the land-based sources, like I mentioned. You have the ocean-based sources. The ocean-based sources includes like oil spills from the
rigs and
the
all
rigs
of
I
that.
mentioned earlier, from the oil rigs.
Possibly
I
even
mentioned.
spills from vessels.
Exactly. Now, then you have the discharge of ballast water as well. So if the ballast tanks are not properly, if there's no proper approval, like it's not the ballast tanks are not doing what they're supposed to do, and they discharge, and they're deballasting. That's the word, they're deballasting. They could introduce new species into the water. That's another form of pollution. Most
Disrupt the marine life.
yes. So like most aliens have it. I'm sure you're aware of the thing called water hyacinth.
Yeah.
I
Those,
heard it,
for the viewers, the water hyacinth is those leaves and trees. You see in the water, and I think it's very seasonal.
Yeah.
Like it comes in a certain season.
Rumor has it that it's not of origin from Nigeria. It's
wow.
not.
So it comes from far places.
No, it was actually a deballast process.
Oh.
Some ballast water that was collected from some other place introduced
That's into our
marine space.
oh,
and
really?
He just went wild. So
really wild.
he went really
Yes.
wild. Yes.
Obstructs a lot of things in the waterways.
Navigation and all that. So yeah. But then again, so like I said, that's another source of pollution, which is the ocean based. So you have the land based, the ocean based, and finally the third one is the air based pollution. Air based pollution, just like you said, from exhaust pipes. So the exhaust of vessels also cause some sort of.
So the same way the exhaust pipes cause it on land, the exhaust pipe on vessels cause it in our marine space.
Yeah.
Oh, quite unfortunate.
So those that now an overview. If I want to quote, I would like to quote the United Nations Sustainable Development. They currently suggest that the ocean is in a serious state of emergency. Is in a serious. That's the only way to describe it. Is in a serious state of emergency. There are increasing levels of eutrophication. Okay, that may be a big word as well. So eutrophication basically deals with the introduction of nutrients into the water. And
When you say nutrients, what exactly do you mean?
now, nutrients from sewage and just or like the industrial wastewater I'm talking about, or even like let's look at coastal communities. When those who wash by the sea, who do their washing, so the detergents that they use just introduces all sorts of chemicals, and you find out that place becomes so concentrated and everything, and over time you have things like algal bloom.
Yeah.
Algae starts to grow around there, because of the chemicals you're introducing, and then you deplete the oxygen
Around
within
that
that area. So that's pretty much what eutrophication is. So there are increasing levels of eutrophication, acidification as well. Like you obviously have acidification, like it's literally said, acids are introduced in chemical forms from all manners. So acidification into the ocean warming as well. All these is just caused by pollution, which is worsening the health of of the ocean itself.
Yeah.
So, really and truly, the current state of the ocean is just an alarming state. Interventions need to come in. We as even individuals need to, put in our own efforts to ensuring
to do better.
Yeah, to ensuring the good health of the ocean.
So the same way we as individuals, as humans, as the population, particularly of our country, has multiplied in recent times. Would you say the pollution within that space has also evolved? Because if back then you had few numbers of people contributing to this pollution, now you have a lot more people contributing. You talked about waste, the plastic and all of that.
Yeah.
You had a certain amount of people, having to make use of plastics,
Right.
the bottles, the bags and all of that in the past. Now you have a multiplier effect of the number of people that are using these things. So would you say pollution has evolved in our space over the years?
Oh yeah, definitely it has evolved. The earliest record of pollution dates back to ancient times of the Greeks and the Romans, where they were known to drop their waste. They really dump their waste and their sewage in the Mediterranean Sea. Literally, like that's the only way, because obviously they leave it around them. It brings about
Diseases,
flies and
health
diseases and all that. So they just have places where this waste is collected, either their domestic waste and all that, and also including sewage, and they just carry it and dump it in the Mediterranean Sea. So that evolved over time, and by the 18th, between the 18th and the 19th century, with the introduction of the industrial revolution, the industrial revolution, manufacturing starts to happen, and all the things all these things, the ocean pollution began to increase, like I said, the industrial revolution, production of what you would call basic commodities today. They're being manufactured with a lot of plastics, polyethylene and all that.
Yeah.
So these plastics are just
A lot of it,
because it's manufactured to meet up to the global population. So if they were manufactured like yesteryears, if they manufactured a certain amount, let's say 10,
it's multiplied now.
It will multiply because the number of persons you have occupying the earth today has literally tripled like 100 years back. So as time goes on, that multiplier effect also finds its way in the ocean and it continue to grow and all that. So
I watched a documentary where they had to bring out a certain fish from the ocean and dissected this fish, and it was found that a lot of bottles were in the fish's tummy and all of that, and that was what the fish was consuming in the ocean.
Yeah. So you see that part. There's just too many horrible sights to see, and I'll give you an instance as well. I've seen the picture where, I don't know if you know, the beer holders. There's this plastic for holding beer. That's literally what it's only manufactured for. So,
okay, the
when you have a can of beer like
436,
so you hold that in circles
center,
like that.
Yeah, I get.
That thing is just manufactured
for holding.
Just for holding beer.
You can imagine.
Nothing
no
else.
Recycling purpose.
Yeah,
nothing.
it doesn't have. It doesn't have
another
an
use.
Yeah, an alternative purpose.
Yeah.
It's just for holding beer, and it made its way into the ocean. Right now, a sea turtle swims to it, tries to eat it, and finds out that, oh, this is not food. Then decides not to eat it, but wants to swim
Pass through it.
the circle and make its way to go find food somewhere else. But its shell got stuck in one of the circles.
Yeah.
And it carried that for a long time, for the rest of its life. And over time, as the turtle kept on growing and its shell kept on enlarging, that trapped place by that plastic
wouldn't grow,
and it didn't allow the turtle's shell form its oval shape. The shell forms, so the turtle grew bigger,
probably be like an 8.
Now became like an 8 thanks to that plastic.
Wow.
Now you have just denatured the life of that turtle, the shell of that turtle rather.
The life of the turtle.
This is basically what pollution can do to us. You find even like oil spills. Birds make their ways, to try and catch some fish in the water. And when they dive in and their feathers get trapped in the oil in bit to
Grease.
in a bit to catch some fish. It's no longer moving again. It's no longer it can no longer fly. So he ends up struggling in the water and probably drowning. But then again, he now becomes food for other fishes in the water and all that. So,
Interesting. You know, our country, Nigeria, is signatory to a lot of treaties, and there's no mention of marine protection without mentioning MAPO. To an average Nigerian, what is MAPO?
The International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. This is what we regard today as MAPO. I'll take that again for people who don't understand. It's the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from ships. Is what today we regard as MAPO.
What is that pollution from ships?
I'll get straight to it. So it's basically the main convention, that covers the prevention of pollution into the marine environment by ships from operating within from ships while they're operating
within the space.
It's an international treaty which Nigeria.
NIMASA is also.
No, Nigeria is centered to, and by extension, NIMASA
carries out the
responsibility on behalf of Nigeria. So that's the tie and relationship. But the convention itself includes, certain regulations aimed at preventing and minimizing pollution from ships, both accidental and those from routine operations that they carry. This thing. But this convention currently has 6 technical annexes. That's what they're actually called. They have 6 technical annexes. The first annex is which is what you regard to Annex 1 of MAPO. That's how it's usually said. The Annex 1 of MAPO. It deals with the regulations for the prevention of pollution.
Sorry to cut you short, just for our viewers. The annex is like segments.
No, so
or chapters.
So an annex is like, so imagine you've written a book, right? And some new ideas about that same book comes in.
Come up later.
It come up much later.
Yeah.
Now, you remember you've written the book, you've done everything, and you come to the last page. But it just won't work better.
So it's like a part 2.
Exactly. So these
an add-on.
An
add-on.
An addendum, like you rightfully say. So it's like an addition to the already existing convention.
Okay.
So those annexes are what narrows it down to what exactly you are preventing from being introduced into the marine environment.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the Annex 1 deals with the prevention of pollution. It's a regulation for the prevention of pollution by oil.
Okay.
Oil now.
Okay. Focusing on oil.
All
right.
So, the Annex 2 deals with the regulation for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances. Noxious liquid substances.
So the convention, sorry to cut you short, the convention has notified the areas or the things that usually pollutes our marine ecosystem and focuses on those things.
Yes.
So saying the oil, they know that oil is one of the biggest
pollutants,
contributors
yes,
to the pollution of our marine ecosystem. Okay, so Annex 1 is oil.
The Annex 2 deals with the noxious liquid substances in bulk. The Annex 3 is for the prevention of pollution by harmful substances carried along the sea in packaged form.
What do you mean?
So imagine certain type of okay, let's use this. In the production of fertilizers today, right?
Yeah.
There are certain components that are key in the production of fertilizer, such as urea, and ammonium and all these things.
Yeah.
But when you expose these things to the marine environment, they do a lot of damage, right? So when you are transporting a good to when you're transporting an item of that nature, you want to handle it, package it properly, stow it away appropriately, so that it's not even also harmful to the crew members on that same vessel while it's being, you also want to mark, its package, so that anyone who's walking past that package has an idea,
knows what this is.
Yeah. You also want to label it appropriately and all that, so that when eventually it gets to its destination, when it's being offloaded from the vessel, it's carried, just with care,
caution,
and all that, simply because of what's
inside,
contained therein.
Yeah.
So
hazardous.
Yes.
Yeah,
So those substances they're categorized in several categories. So that particular annex we refer to as the IMDG code, the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code. So in fact, that annex is so big, usually it's a standalone annex usually, because it tells you how to carry radioactive materials. It tells you how to carry even explosives. It tells you how to carry, all down to even the smallest harmful, what you may regard as maybe not so harmful to the human life substances. So that's what Annex 3 basically is all about. The Annex 4 deals with the prevention of pollution from sewage. See, that's peculiar now, from sewage. The Annex 5 deals with the prevention of pollution from garbage. Different aspect again.
So there's sewage and there's garbage.
Then the final one, which is the Annex 6, deals with the prevention of pollution from air. So that's
which falls back to the exhaust pipes we talked about.
If you look at it now, it has covered, pollution. Yeah. Remember, we're looking at it is the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from ships.
So everything that could pollute the marine ecosystem from a ship has been covered. It's been encapsulated in all of this.
So that's pretty much what MAPOL entails. So these several aspects is what Nigeria currently implements today in ensuring the protection of the marine environment with our, I don't want to say overused, but I want to say, so like our maritime domain is really being used. If you go out there and see or to the port or anywhere, you would see a whole lot of vessels coming in and out. So this is one of the basic regulations that we have and that we enforce to ensure that users of our waterways don't pollute it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So users of our waterways, don't pollute it. That was the last word he said. And we've been discussing protection and prevention of pollution within our maritime ecosystem. That will be all for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget, you can watch this episode again on our social media platform at NIMASA Official and Maritime Odyssey by NIMASA. Please don't forget to subscribe to all our social media handles at NIMASA Official. Thank you. Bye for now. See you next time.